pretended to be a wounded veteran to get out of a major speeding ticket. I was hit by a drunk driver and lost both my legs. People always assume I lost them fighting overseas. I'm a young, muscular guy who's missing both his legs, so I guess I fit the bill. Every day I go out, someone comes up to me and thanks me for my service, and I have to tell them that I lost them in a car accident. This day I was in my fairly new truck going through Nevada. I was on a long straight open highway and I wanted to see how fast I could go. So I floor it. I'm going about 132 miles an hour when I pass a cop. I immediately pull over, roll my windows down and turn my truck off. He pulls up and tells me to step out with my hands up. I do what he says and step out. When he saw my prosthetic legs, his whole mood changed. He walks up to me real calm and is talking to me all friendly. He takes my license and tells me to get back in my truck and enjoy the air conditioning. Now I'm thinking I'm going to get a massive ticket. Either reckless driving or super speeders, which is not what you want on your record. He comes back and tells me I'm going to be giving you a warning today, and he goes on about how his father lost his legs overseas and knows how hard it is. I said, yeah, it's real hard, but I'll do anything for this country and some other corny stuff, and he didn't question it. He just said God bless and thanked me for my service and went on his way, leaving me feeling like I just got away with murder. I was diagnosed with cancer a little over 2 weeks ago, after a regular checkup. Turns out I have a tumor on my colon that has spread to other areas, liver and lung so far, and will require extensive chemo and surgery for any chance to live longer than 8 months. I'm not having any treatment, and I haven't told my wife because she'll only pressure me to get the treatment, which result in months of pain and suffering for a relatively small chance. Instead, I'm making sure our last few months together are filled with only happy memories. I'm starting work later and finishing earlier each day, to make her breakfast in bed and take her on dates in the evenings. My landlord I rent my workshop from has agreed to let me run my business rent-free for the next 6 months, which means significantly less financial stress, and I can save a lot more, so she has something to carry her over afterwards. I hope she'll forgive me for taking this path. I'm 18 years old and I gave my daughter up for adoption 12 hours ago. She was 2 days old. I left the hospital and crawled into bed and haven't gotten up since. After 9 months of being pregnant and going through the journey of carrying a baby, and to come home without a baby is heart-wrenching. I knew it would feel weird, but I never knew it would hurt this bad. To know that I had a couple who were a few months ago total strangers, who have stepped into my life to take care of my baby and love her as their own and give her something that I can't, is overwhelming. I don't regret it, I want that to be clear. I know in my heart it was the right choice. I'm smart enough to know that she doesn't deserve to be brought into an already complicated situation. She deserves 2 parents that can provide her with the stability and the love she deserves. And I can't give her that. To give her up wasn't sad, it was overwhelming. But now it's hitting me how empty I really feel. I wish I could crawl into a hole and die. I feel like a failure, I feel like this is my lowest point. Her parents offered an open adoption and I said no. Simply because right now, I don't think I can handle it. I don't want to sound awful, but my biggest hope is that I can forget about this. I feel awful, and I don't want to remember this feeling. I would like for my baby to grow up knowing she's adopted and that this was an act of love, but out of shame and guilt, I don't want her to know who I am. If you took the time to read this, thank you. This is the only place I could think of to dump my thoughts and clear my mind. It means a lot to me to know that someone out there, on some little speck of the internet, is listening to me. Girl last week. I was just walking from the university back home, when I saw her. Brunette, blue eyes. Really pretty face with a really pretty smile. I almost bumped into her when exiting the library. She smiled and said it was all right. I was very struck by how pretty she was. For the next 10 minutes I felt awkward because we happened to be both walking in the same direction, and at about the same speed. She had her earphones on, so did I, but she was about 10 meters ahead of me. So it's not like we were walking together. I just felt weird that if she looked behind she might think I was stalking her. We got to one of the major traffic lights bisecting the major road we were walking on. The light was red, but I checked both sides. There was traffic but I could cross the road without running, so I just crossed, jaywalked. I was halfway across the road, when even through my in-earbuds, I heard the loudest screech, as though a car was screeching to a halt right behind me. I turned just in time to see a picture that will stay with me forever. The girl had crossed the road just behind me. I think she had seen me in her peripheral vision cross, and assumed it was a green pedestrian light, when it wasn't. I saw her. She was crossing the road, smartphone in her hand, just beginning to look up and to her right. The truck was barely half a meter in front of her. It feels so weird. They say time slows down, and when you watch a movie, movies always slow down these action scenes. But in real life, it doesn't slow down. Things just happen so fast. But somehow you remember every single millisecond of it in such detail. It happened so fast I didn't even have time to react, no time to even shout. My breath just caught in my chest. I turned, I saw her, then I heard this sickening crunch. It sounded like if you scattered a thick layer of eggshells on the floor, like it was 1 centimeter thick, then quickly stepped on it. It was a combination of a crunch and a thud. It makes me want to vomit. She just flew. She flew a good 3 to 4 meters. Hit the ground. Didn't stop. Kept sliding. Her body looked weird, limbs were bent in angles that weren't natural. I felt like I had an out-of-body experience. I was still on the road, I remember. Standing just a meter off the pavement, couldn't move to step onto the pavement, even to stand there to be safer while watching. Just stood on the road, staring. There was very little blood, surprisingly. Maybe that came later, I didn't stay to see. I was sure she was dead. Her head was at a weird angle, so was her arms, and one of her legs was folded in a very unnatural angle. And she wasn't moving, she wasn't whimpering or crying or even twitching. She just lay there. I felt cold and trembling and out of control at the same time. I felt like I wasn't in control of my body. I stood there for a few seconds. I saw people gasp and some screamed a little bit. Some people ran over, don't know what they thought they could do. An oldish guy got out of the truck. Spar delivery van, I remember. I left. I walked away after just a few seconds. I felt like a criminal fleeing the scene. I felt sure someone would shout for me to be held back. I just walked. Walked and walked until I got home. Shut the front door, got into my bedroom, shut and locked the door. Sat on the floor against the door. Didn't cry. Didn't know what to do. I think I sat there for hours, repeating the scene in my mind over and over and over. It's been a week. I saw the reports. She died at the scene. Don't know if on impact or not, but some students held a vigil at the campus next to the road where she died. I didn't go. No mention of me at all. I'm sure they won't arrest me. I know it's not a crime to jaywalk. Well, it is, but they won't arrest me for it. I know she died because she saw me cross and assumed it was green. I know it's not my fault. She should not have crossed blindly without at least looking up from her phone. But it feels like my fault. It feels like I murdered her. I'm a murderer and I can't get it out of my head.